I've got technology working finally. We've got, the agenda standing by. We've got, I think anything that hasn't been included on this list already will just, fall into old business. We have.
Bring it up then.
What's that?
Bring it up then.
Yes, we may go somewhat out of order because we just tend to do that from time to time. But we will cover all of these bases. We have much to review, and much to anticipate. It's going to be a very busy month, if everything goes smoothly. And let's just dig in. The minutes, reviewed minutes. Hopefully everybody else had a chance to do just that. I think we got them right here. Anybody have any additions, deletions, corrections?
Margins are kind of narrow.
I don't have a problem with that. Can they show all right there? Is that all right? The only adjustment I thought we might be wise to make is there's a reference with the DDR to Lisa having it completed. And I'm not sure that it is completed. I think she's pulled together a bunch of information and we have to see what she's got. We'll see what she has. I think she's going to be zooming in tonight at 8. So we'll see what she has at that point.
On a group?
On the computer.
But
a hybrid.
I will say that was what was announced at the meeting.
That is complete. And I think she's maybe completed the work she was going to do. all I'm saying is in terms of clarity, it may not be 100%. I think we'll take
when we talk about it tonight, we can clarify.
We'll do just that. All I'm saying is.
You can't give her a ride, you need a ride.
No.
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
So you can't give her a ride, you her neighbor?
Lisa?
I think she lives over my side of things.
She's in Long Lake area.
She's a long way.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Lisa.
Lisa Winter.
Oh, Winter, I thought Winters, I thought it was Winter, sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah. Winter chicken dinner? No, I don't think Lisa Winter's involved here.
oh, okay.
No,
Sorry, sorry.
she works for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Oh, she's in here, right?
Oh, yeah, she's
Oh.
a member at large.
So instead of saying it's complete, why don't you say a initial draft is complete?
I would say that would be a nice way of saying it. Yeah, the initial draft is complete. With that amendment, with that change, I would suggest we can take a vote on that, accept things as amended. Second.
I second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. And we can do that. Oh, and a question, Dave, while you're in the midst of doing that, if I can distract you.
Initial draft.
Initial draft, I think that's great. Are we taking the minutes and filing them with the
I filed them with the
town
town
clerk? Okay. So we ordinarily we just ship these off to our liaison, and, you know, they would take care of it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think he's all over it.
I wonder.
Mm.
I'll look on our website and see if any of these minutes are showing up.
Okay.
So,
So who did you say you post them to?
well,
Our chairman.
he just shares them with me.
I see.
And oftentimes, well, when we have an active liaison, share with them too. And that's the end of the road, which is fine. I'll make sure they get on the website. So, first order of business. We can go back to our agenda. I believe we have line item here, an accounts payable authorization letter. This is from Michelle Reynolds, the town accountant. And she writes, this is now that town elections are complete, it's time again for your respective boards and committees to vote on your department's account payables bills signature approval process. In the past, of course, we've done this through our liaison or our advisor or whatever, and I think we'll continue to do that. They just need us to discuss this and take a vote on who is authorized to pay our bills. we've never been authorized to pay our own bills. They've always been handled, outside of us through the water department or something. And so this just needs to be a part of the minutes tonight. We sent a copy of the minutes off to the treasurer and so be it. So, if we could take a vote to say that, we will authorize our advisor, liaison. I guess we're calling them a liaison these days.
We always have.
Referred to people as advisors for years, but that's
20 years ago.
many years ago, 46 years ago.
So the motion is.
The motion would be
move
to
that we
authorize,
authorize our liaison to pay our bills.
yes,
Okay,
and a
Okay,
second.
so moved.
So, thank you, Steve.
I second it.
And second, and any discussion?
And this is to approve Clean Lake bills.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, this is just to take care of those transactions, which we've never been a part of. They've always been, we've been told, this has been paid, this has been paid. this-
Does this include all bills
All bills,
funded by the CPC, for instance?
everything, yeah.
Everything, water department,
Yeah,
commissioners?
Yeah, and this goes across town and water commissioners and, Parks and Rec and
Oh, yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
So anything that we're getting more and more broad-based, but, anything that comes up will be taken care of through our liaison.
Mhm.
Just what I think, Stephen.
It's a good point.
Certainly.
Who are you identifying as your liaison?
Well, right now, it's Nick Lawler.
So
Okay,
that
so,
changes over time.
so that's where I'm going, is and I would make an argument for your consideration that on the website, didn't look it up yet, but I bet Karen Morrison's identified as your liaison. I bet Nick's not even identified within, if you were to look up Clean Lakes Committee, who are the members, you're all listed, et cetera, but yet, and Karen, I believe last time I looked, was the
Who's-
non-voting liaison from the select board.
She's in a liaison with the select board.
So my point is, from a public standpoint and what's looking at, you should probably name the person that you're specifically,
Well, then when they change, we'll have to do it again.
well, and maybe
They
that's
could
not,
change it like the wind.
but maybe that's not a bad thing if the purpose of asking you who's authorized, there shouldn't be question, and I can see where
Okay.
I think there would be question.
Well, we would specify Nick Lawler as an addendum. Right now.
Well, so we amend the motion, right?
Yes.
Well,
The discussion of
I mean,
the motion.
Karen Morrison is not the liaison with the town for the Clean Lakes Committee.
Yeah,
I'll look it up. I
I
think
think she is.
she
I think
is.
she's the pond, yeah,
She's,
for the select committee.
she's,
Select board.
right, she may be, appointed as a liaison from the select board
Mhm.
to attend, but she's not our liaison to the town.
Right,
Because there was, in the beginning, right, we had ConsCon,
Mhm.
we had
Health.
Florida Health,
Yeah,
and we had Selectmen, but they never showed up.
yeah.
But we've
They're
always
real.
worked underneath the water department, and Savas was our man.
Yeah.
Savas was our bill payer, so it was always that.
Okay,
So,
So
I
so
think-
there was always a liaison from each committee to be here.
yeah, personally, I think because you've got so many buckets, heading up, I would encourage you to not just name one, identify Nick Lawler with regard to the water department. I think one of you folks probably should
No.
be.
no. We've never, ever paid a bill.
Yeah, we have no
Okay,
authority.
We have no
money, no nothing.
financial
I
dealings
beg-
whatsoever.
You have CPC money now
I
that
don't. I can't say, I can't.
this group has CPC money now, multiple years, multiple buckets of money.
Yes,
To think that Nick Lawler is gonna delve in out of his busy responsibilities to transition into,
He has taken that on.
okay.
But I like the
I
idea a
doubt
lot.
that you've discussed that in detail with them like that. I
Well,
doubt that very
well,
much.
this is,
So on the website, Karen Morrison is listed as SB non-voting liaison. Tim
well,
Pearson,
select board liaison.
yeah,
Pearson.
well, it just says SB non-voting and then it says liaison. Nick Lawler is not listed with us,
What does it say for Tim Pearson?
and then Tim Pearson is ex officio.
Mhm.
And aren't they hiring someone, but wouldn't that person be the one who would sign?
Well,
Right now, Nick is,
starting in the fall.
Nick is,
Right.
Nick is assuming that role.
Right, so I think, yeah. So I think we have to say for now it's Nick, and then until the liaison is in place.
Well,
I don't
Nick
think
is
we
the
need to-
liaison for now.
Nick in fact is the liaison.
Yeah,
He has.
He was
agreed-
appointed by the selectmen.
So we need to modify the motion to say that we authorize Nick Lawler, currently serving as our acting liaison to the town, to pay our bills as long as he is so serving.
And why do we have to do that?
Apparently, the town requires.
Town accountant needs that.
No, he's asking, why do we have to list Nick specifically?
Why do we have liaisons? So one day, we don't have that person,
Suppose the town appoints some clown who we don't trust.
Well, no, it's not that, Robin, you're about to utilize bills out of CPC, and Robin, the town treasurer, is going to say, who's authorized this? And she's gonna look, and unless you're gonna keep Nick quite informed, you need, one, Robin needs an answer. She's not gonna pay anything for you if you tell her where to go, and that person says, I don't know what you're talking about. So Robin needs a name of somebody to go to before checks can be written for multiple CPC, all three, you've got 3 lakes, 4 lakes with regard to Mill Pond.
No, 5 links, both of them.
Okay, then you've got money buckets going. I mean, you've got, that's what they're asking you for, is adhere to the process that they need in order to get things done. It's a different world, not just the water department.
We would put that on our advisor.
So,
Our advisor
Just let them-
is.
just let them
I
know
think, I think what Rob is actually saying is that we need to update our website to show that Nick is our
Okay,
liaison.
that's a separate
No,
topic.
no, so if we vote as the motion was made.
Yeah.
And we update the website to show that Nick is our liaison,
Mhm.
and when the new assistant conservation agent is brought on and he or her transitions to that role in the fall, we update the website again to show that they're the liaison.
Certainly.
So
I think,
That
the
offer,
motion should just say the liaison rather than the name.
I think so,
Yeah.
and then we just need to make sure that, I mean, you're right, it's,
As long as you have clarity.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good too. Yeah, now to
Yep.
keep Chuck happy.
Sometimes we talk about something for 5 hours and it doesn't really need to be talked about, so.
Are you
satisfied, Chuck?
Yes, I am. Let's go to the next topic.
No, we haven't voted yet.
Oh,
We didn't vote yet.
It's just a small formality.
Okay, so who's gonna articulate the motion? What's the motion on the floor now with these mods?
Excuse me. Authorize the, Littleton Clean Lakes Committee liaison to approve Littleton Clean Lakes Committee bills, including expenses being funded by any source.
should we say town liaison, like the Clean Lakes Committee town liaison? I don't know, is that,
No, it's not a select board liaison, it's whoever's designated as our
They would
advisor
show up
or
on the website
liaison.
as,
is that a title, liaison?
yeah,
If we put it on our website, it becomes one.
Okay,
Okay, I second the motion.
So it's,
voted in.
yeah. I mean, what the accountant is looking for is if there are a number of names or a number of signatures that are required, then know all those names. But if we have only one, we have our advisor, we have our liaison.
And until that turns,
Oh, well, it's still the liaison.
I'm just saying, until that turns, and that's it. Until we get off of,
Until that
Yeah.
changes. Yeah, then we'll put you.
Until we post the new name on our website.
Yes.
Okay, so I second the motion as amended.
And we'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous.
Hearing none, motion carries.
So I think the motion carries and we will, send that off to the accountant.
I was just looking at the website, we haven't posted any minutes on the website since February 2024.
Okay.
So that will need to get,
motion that the chairman post the,
Yeah, get with it, buddy.
All right,
We've got good minute takers.
Okay, we do.
sure do. They should be up there shining proudly. All right.
Outstanding, I gotta tell you, outstanding.
And by the way, something slightly tangential to this discussion.
Yes.
When we became unpaid municipal employees, I asked what protections we had. Municipal employee, right?
Mhm.
And all I've ever heard was crickets. Why do I bring this up? We cannot be responsible for a dime,
Right.
for any of these buildings, right? I want to make that clear.
Right.
It is the liaison,
Yes,
doesn't touch us.
that's.
Well, even if one of us was authorizing it, it still wouldn't be our
It's
responsibility.
through the town. We just, you know, even,
We're
yeah, like you
advisors.
say, if you, well, we're agents of the town, if you will. So we work under the auspices of the town or the water department or whatever it is. And so, yeah.
I want to make it clear, we have
That line-
we have no financial protection.
No liability.
Yes, make it clear that it
And
ain't us.
no responsibility. So, yeah.
Not it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
That might require a salary or something.
Yeah.
Just out of courtesy, so. Okay, so we'll check that out. The second CLC, Mass DCR Lakes and Ponds Division Zoom session, was shortly after our last month's meeting. And I think, well, once I got connected, apologize for the 10-minute delay. I was signing in with the wrong address and wondering where everyone was. But they ran the whole thing for an hour and I thought it was very worthwhile, and it was great. It seems like, they're a good news source, and as it turns out, seem to be leaning towards, swaying, the water department to allow that pond to,
What happened?
do herbicide treatments this year. So that could be a real asset and well worth the time it took to line these things up.
Well, did everybody catch, is everybody aware of that? I mean, I'm not,
We'll cover that later, but, just as an aside,
okay.
I think it really, it's already paid off. If in fact, that comes to pass, so we don't have ourselves inundated with,
Some needs down there.
Yeah. So that's good, and I think that, we can resume in the fall. Was wondering if anyone had the opportunity to do any kind of, note, on their publication, on the draft of the, Lakes and Ponds.
What are you asking?
There was a
Public comment.
public comment period.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
for the GLM.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I put in a few comments.
Good.
Yeah, I pointed out that mechanical harvesting didn't have anything for eco harvesting. They only had
Mhm.
for the cut and grab,
Yes.
which they should include that. It's an important
Mhm.
difference.
Mhm.
And, I pointed out that they were very weak in their discussion of, how DEP is treating plant harvesting as dredging,
Mhm.
and, that they needed to, in my opinion, point out that it is inappropriate.
Good. Okay. I appreciate that. That's good. I did not contribute anything, but it's a hell of a document, even as it is. It's a massive undertaking.
It doesn't have quite all the same information that the GEIR did and that the practical guide did. In some places, it refers to, there was quite a bit of discussion about this topic in the GEIR, and then they go on, and it's as if,
Well, that's their new format. They're trying to link you to.
well, this is supposed to replace that.
Well, it does, but
So
they have links throughout the entire document.
No, they don't have links, it just says, this was discussed,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and
There should be a link there,
well,
That would be a good suggestion.
because
It
their
wasn't
whole
clear to
point
me.
is that you could open up the entire internet, and tap all of these resources rather than having a published document that was somehow complete itself. But if they don't have those links, then that's a lie.
well, it looked like they were being kind of lazy about discussing this because it's already been discussed, but I wasn't sure whether in fact, maybe they did include it elsewhere, but not in the place that I had seen it.
I see, yeah, so you
I
gotta
probably
do some digging. No, sure, it can be very frustrating, because you can get off on a tangent far, far away from that document, and then, you know, find yourself like going, wow, I gotta get that, you know, so it's just the notion of being on the internet, but that's, anyway, that's wanted to just mention, that I appreciate people that tuned into that, and that we'll get even better technologically down the line. I'm learning stuff every day, so. Annual town meeting review. We had, well, all of our funding for, fiscal year 2026, up for approval. And is that someone
It's God talking,
calling in?
that's God.
You can have it.
It's my, what do you call
That's
it?
yours, okay.
My camera,
Everyone has it
my
going
ring
on.
camera,
God's very
God,
special.
Paula?
the calling God, burning bush.
Every single request for funds and grants that we have, was approved, at the town meeting. Which was great, and there were no questions, no objections, no inquiries, and, so,
We were ready to step up if needed.
yes, yeah, I'll stand by. And, it ran as I hoped it would, without any, queries,
Well, I have a question about that. So I didn't get to go, so I didn't hear this happen. Did it all get approved, just kind of flying under the radar and nobody really knew? Or was there some discussion and people actually explicitly approved Clean Lake's work to mitigate the invasive?
It was read.
It was both.
Yeah, it was split up. There are a number of bills that, or a number of articles that were presented as a bulk, just saying, pretty sure this is all gonna be fine with everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Those are
if
the
you have,
articles of consent that they
It
wrote.
kind of
at the very
speaks to the
beginning.
if you
Call the articles.
if you have any objections, if you have any inquiries, please, you know, say
Right.
something,
Yeah.
or else we'll just take this whole bulk and we'll vote on that. Boom, it passed. Yeah,
Okay.
so,
So the,
But, yeah,
you know, what was being funded by under the DPW was part of that.
mhm,
And I think maybe the money from the select board, was part of that.
mhm.
But there was a separate, article
CPC.
for the, CPC was all broken out.
Yes,
Those,
So in terms of raising the awareness of the population about this topic, there was a little bit of raising awareness.
a little bit, I mean, there
Minimal.
was this.
there was no discussion really.
No discussion, there was a specific item for the, Long Lake, rotating fund.
yes.
But no pushback and no, I mean, granted, there's only 284 people who vote for
Right,
town
right.
meeting. There's not a lot of people there making decisions on behalf of the whole town.
No.
But nobody asked a question about what is this Clean Lakes thing? Why are we?
I
paying
just
for
wondered
this?
how visible it was. So
Yeah.
you've answered
So it was
that. Thank you.
noted, but
It was mentioned,
Yeah.
it was verbalized a few times.
Yeah.
But never so much as, you know, we're trying to do this, because it's, you know, we're turning a page. This is a brand new way of approaching things, and you're gonna see our name out there more frequently. I think we were prepared to explain all that, if there was a question.
Right,
There
we
was,
got by without doing that.
Right.
It still would be good for us to write something in the town newsletter.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And especially, I think next month, would be good for that, so,
Okay.
I think once we get, like Mattawanakee and maybe Long Lake with the chemicals, and it's gonna happen. You know, I don't think we should talk bright letters if nothing's happening yet, where we're just working on it behind the scenes. So if we could say, Mattawanakee is gonna get herbicides, and
Mhm.
Long Lake is also too, and Spec Pond is slated to get it. I think that people wanna hear that more than it's gonna happen.
Good point.
You know, so until it's gonna happen, until we got a stamp of approval, don't say nothing,
mhm.
period, next.
I'm with you, Chuck.
We're not fooling around anymore.
No, that's fine, that's just fine.
Wait a minute, you were fooling around before?
Fine.
Oh, you're,
I'm getting next one this time,
We're fine,
yeah,
we're doing this.
helping.
All right. The, Mass DEP minor dredging permit application. The DVR, Lisa says she's going to be, joining us.
Should we wait and come back?
After 8 o'clock, yes, I'm just saying that since it's on the list right now.
Okay.
She'll be joining us after 8, when she's, separated from her work duties and stuff, to share what she has for the DVR, which of course, we will anxiously anticipate and hopefully, be able to run with
Dance
it.
Revolution.
And,
Yeah.
so that'll be great.
Just a question then.
Sure.
He was just chatting about, he was putting his input into a few lines ago, the DL, whatever, right?
GLM?
Yeah, whatever, you were putting your
Oh,
input in,
GLM.
that, you know, we should be able to do this and this and that. Is that something that will help us maybe down the road where we can pull a permit for that every year? Or is that just a suggestion?
So,
Is other people on board?
when we, so this, you're talking about this state document?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in 2004, the state put out this generic, evaluation of, eutrophication, and, it's like the Bible for the state on, dealing with eutrophication of the lakes. And anytime we submit, requests for approval under the Wetland Protection Act, the Conservation Commissions refer to that to see what does the state say about whatever you're trying to do in terms of mitigating eutrophication. And we can point to the state recognizes that this is an effective way to do it, blah, blah, blah. And there's a handful of metrics that they have in terms of, you know, things that would point to using this, and effects that this has that are related to the Wetlands Protection Act, and things like that. And we include those in the notices of intent, and as justification for doing herbicides or eco-harvesting or drawdowns. And so, because that's 20-some years old now, the state updated it, and they're gonna replace the one from 20 years ago with this new one. And so going forward, once they finalize it, this new one will be the one that will pull citations from when we make these requests.
Understood. So what I'm trying to say is, now we're going for X amount more, to dredge, okay, basically, right? We're asking to dredge this much more. And then after that, it's like, okay, we don't let you dredge anymore, correct?
We'd have to get another permit.
Well, we gotta get another permit.
You'd reapply.
It's kind of ridiculous. What we've been doing for years is not hurting anything.
So there are a number of things that we would say are counterproductive, and, you know, like what we hit last summer. And
I think it was counterproductive, yeah. But the years before, when we actually raked, in those spots that we raked, it worked.
It did, but it promoted growth of.
Understood,
in other parts of the
understood. But it's not like we were dredging the lawn.
No one's talking like
Under the
that.
current regulations, that's considered dredging,
Yeah, yes. But when did this all of a sudden change?
just recently.
Right.
well, I mean, no, the dredging permits have been there for a long time, but just last year, the DEP made the decision that plant harvesting qualifies as dredging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, it's new.
And that was my second input to the JLM, that that's not appropriate. They should recognize that.
Oh, I agree.
So to answer your question, yes, the hope is that those comments will go into the updated document, and that will make it easier for us going forward if they get accepted.
Dave said,
Whatever
Yeah.
Dave said.
Dave said.
Dave's got good ideas. Speaking along those same lines, can we move on to,
Yeah.
we'll return to the dredging permit. When Lisa.
We're to be done before she gets on.
Well, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
That'll be just fine.
Yeah.
That'd be delayed. The herbicide treatments upcoming, are going down this month. we have news from Spec Pond.
Yes. The TRC, the guys that have been using in the past to do surveys, supposedly was doing a survey on Spectrum Pond Day. And this is part of the management plan
Good.
that I guess is funded now because they wouldn't do any work unless they had a contract to do that. So yeah, I was on vacation, so I didn't see them. But Jim Trici, the guy that did the surveys for us in the past,
Mhm.
for the other ponds too, was supposed to be out in his John boat or whatever.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Excellent.
So is he doing the plan survey as part of the, lake management plan or?
Yes, as part of the funded lake management plan to the tune of about $30,000.
And yet at this point in time, we've just been informed, or we've just recently been informed that, that you at Spec Pond may be eligible for herbicide treatments
That's correct,
this year.
yes.
And,
So the curveball that got thrown was that, there's been a change in heart from, the Littleton Water Department.
mhm.
And they asked, under the auspices of this management plan, they asked to have a plan on how to monitor for herbicides and treating into the municipal well.
Cool.
I thought that probably wouldn't happen here, but the change in plan was, yeah, we could very well do that.
Wow.
We may
And
not
that's
be
because
able.
of DCR, the DCR meeting?
And it was,
Yeah.
exactly, of those two DCR meetings, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, that we may not get under
Oh,
the
God.
$67,000 that we have allocated this fiscal year, we may not spend any of that money for herbicide treatment. But fiscal 2026,
You don't think that we are on a time frame where we have till the end of June?
So
if they came back, if the management plan came back with an acceptable plan for the water department, and the water department, and this is gonna be Matt Silverman, could arrange for somebody, Solid Creek, for instance, to do the herbicide treatment, we could do something, but I've assigned it as a maybe, that we would do herbicide treatment under the 2025 allocation that we have.
So when is your, management plan gonna be done?
We told TRC, Carl Nielsen, that it needed to be done before July 1.
So you're not gonna do herbicides this year?
Or build out?
Well, it could very well be that we could get an advanced look at a intrusion, municipal well intrusion plan. That
Yeah,
Matt Silverman might, excuse me, I'm speaking, thank you, that Matt Silverman might sign off on. And we could move forward without the complete management plan. We could move forward on herbicide treatment, realizing that we only have a month, essentially.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, that's.
So is that the plan?
Well, yeah.
So, when do we know when they're expecting to have that monitoring plan?
This is all, well, hopefully it's by the end of June.
Mhm.
Matt Silverman is the guy that's, the point person, if you will, on the plan. And again, I say that we have to have an acceptable, municipal well intrusion plan, to Matt and me for that matter as well, but certainly to
And
Matt.
this is for merely monitoring.
Yes,
That no, herbicides are admitted
Making it
to
in
the
the
well,
well.
or
Yeah.
there's nothing seeping in anywhere, and,
yeah, exactly. We did this in 2005, but it was just for fluoridone sonar.
mhm,
And of course, now it's probably going to be for fluoridone and diquat,
mhm.
because those are the two chemicals that we probably would use on
Sure.
Spectrum Pond.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not planning to do the herbicides until, after beginning of July?
We may have a shot, may is the operative word, have a shot at doing something this fiscal year before July 1, and we have some funding to cover some substantial.
I think you probably have about $15,000 that.
We had $67,000 allocated.
Assuming that maybe 40 grand is the, management plan?
30,000 is the management.
30, oh, then you have, probably.
We have a good chunk of money to do herbicide treatment.
And we would be encouraged, of course, to spend that.
Yes. That's all contingent. We know very well that the water department and Matt Silverman is very, very busy.
Yes.
Hopefully he has time to pay attention to this so that we can get in under the wire and spend some money.
Yeah.
In this fiscal year, but it's only a maybe. Yeah. Having said that, fiscal 2026, we have $100,000, $108,000 allocated.
Mhm.
And a big chunk of that could whack back some invasives if we went for herbicide treatment only.
Mhm.
We obviously don't have our DEP permit. So,
And that would take pressure off of next spring when we were gonna
yes. yes.
triple load
Yeah.
activities, spec
And
pond.
did I mention at the last meeting that it was kind of questionable whether we could line up somebody like a Solitude to do these herbicide treatments? Somebody was in contact with Solitude.
We've been in contact with Solitude.
And it sounded, no, maybe
And
it's not a
they
big
seem
deal.
like, you know, we could pick this up anytime.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, really? Okay, but it's not, you know, it's not labor intensive like eco harvesting, of course.
Yes, yeah.
You got a guy in a boat and a couple of guys, you know.
However, for herbicide treatment, for Floridone,
Mhm,
you have to minimally have the correct solution level
mhm,
in the 30 to 45 day range.
mhm.
We've done treatments in the past where we actually had to do a 90-day treatment.
Sure.
Well, that's going to cross over from 2025 to 2026.
Right.
Is it
And
still?
that's where we try to sort of what's with the billing,
Yes.
if at all possible.
Yes.
And,
And maybe we can bridge that and still spend the 20.
have things allocated. The same thing at,
So when I
at
talked to
Manawanaki.
Solitude about that, and they were quoting costs for doing treatments that might require follow-up treatments. The quoted cost included follow-up treatments, so you were paying for
Yeah.
the initial treatment and anything else that was needed, so that would still be covered under the,
Yeah,
early.
I'm financially ignorant, but when the check gets written, is it going to be in 2026? If I did some Floridone treatment for fan wart in June, let's say I got it into the wire, but they need to do bump ups in July, August, or September.
You'd pay before the end of June.
That's what I just said.
Well, no, wait a minute. How are you going to pay before the end of June?
Because
You
you
pay-
pay for the anticipated,
Yeah, but you pay for when you receive an invoice.
It's probably when they send the invoice.
They would-
You
they would
like, send the
invoice us
invoice on
before the
June
end of-
30th.
We would shovel the money at them
Yeah.
then. Good.
You contract for it with the bump ups and pay them. And then they do the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't think in the past what had happened is unless and until we got a follow-up report on the work, we would not cut a check. This was previously under Savas.
That sounds like a good idea, but under
Yeah.
the current circumstance,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one way to
Well, of
do
course,
it.
we'll have them do, surveys of the lakes. So they'll pop around, see what there is
Mhm.
and give an assessment based on each lake and flow and what have you. They'll make their recommendations. We'll have numbers and we can go yay or nay.
Yeah, usually late autumn, you'll get a report.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the past, we have not gotten reports from vendors, and we still cut the checks.
Right.
That's my point. I didn't like that way of doing business.
Yeah, but I think, as I recall, Solitude would go out, in advance of their treatments, do an assessment of the lake,
Mhm.
report back to us, here's where things stand, and do we want to go forward?
Yeah. I'm happy as long as we can get in under the wire. I hate to leave $37,000 on the table.
What is the current standing at Manawanaki? Did things go well on Tuesday?
Tuesday, we had a Conservation Commission meeting and, at 7 weeks after our initial, vote by the commission to go ahead and request an amendment, because they twice didn't have a quorum. And they voted to approve it. Last night, we had a hearing at the Westford Conservation Commission, and they approved it also.
This is wonderful news.
I would say so.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And, yesterday I talked with Dominique again
Mhm.
at Solitude, and I told him that, we were planning to do it, again at Matawanaki. I told him that even though I talked to him last month, we weren't doing Spectral Pond, but now the expectation was that we would be doing Spectral Pond.
Mhm.
And he was on board with all of that.
Good.
I told him that the contracting would be done through Littleton Water Department.
Mhm.
And, so,
I suggest that one of us, you or me, probably, could get in touch with, Matt through Nick,
Yeah,
to, let them know that we should initiate the process.
without a doubt.
Because,
That's super news.
yeah, so we got, we have a limited budget, so we need to do the, plan survey and see, how big an area is needed and how far our budget will go. I think ideally, we would like to do a, systemic treatment, not a contact treatment, so that, it still has an effect next year when we do the eco harvesting. But, the, systemic treatment is, 4 to 6 times as expensive as contact treatment.
Yeah. Well, right now, you probably have somewhere around $16,000-$17,000.
18, I think.
All right, but, that's, we'll include the surveys and what have you as well. But, I mean, that's the monies you have from the water commissioners.
That's what we have to spend for, right, I guess at least the pre-treatment surveys would have to be paid for from that because, I mean, this year, our plant surveys are supposed to be covered by Western.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to Matt today, I should have asked him about that.
Yeah.
They don't have any money, do they?
They have the money they clawed back from us for that harvesting from last year.
Yeah.
But they clawed it back so they could pay for plant surveys for this year, and then after this year, they don't have any money.
Right, so we're only gonna do the shorelines or anything to do with Littleton, correct?
We're only doing, herbicides on the Littleton part of the lake.
Suggestion, see if we could do this. Now, do we say to ourselves, let's take 2 boards out of that dam, let's get it down a little lower, and when we know it's gonna come, we throw the boards back up?
Concentration out.
Yeah,
It won't make much difference. The lake goes up really fast.
a day or 2,
Well, that's
so
okay.
maybe it's not even,
No, it'd be a day or two.
I mean, maybe a 1 year in.
They're already down. They've had the stop logs out for the last month and a half.
Okay, the stop logs are out,
Well, right now,
4 of them were out, half of them.
4 of them, okay. Maybe right before we throw them all in, right? And,
we've had some interactions over at the dam that make that probably not possible.
okay.
So we can
I'm just
discuss.
throwing some stuff out at you.
Yeah,
well,
You know, the reason why it's down.
The objective is to slow down the water flow.
Right, we almost not stop it, but slow it down
Oh, sure,
big time.
yeah.
Slow down the turnover of the
The
water.
turnover of the water, you know? So at least maybe some of that won't get diluted so fast, it'll almost settle over at the Western Beach almost, right? And help that a little bit.
The new management over at the mill has become concerned that the water level in the sluice lake rises and touches the underside of Pleasant Street where it crosses the sluice lake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has been happening every year, as long as anybody can remember, but the new management is concerned that it's gonna compromise the integrity of the bridge. So they have declared that we, any of us, are
Nobody but them.
no longer allowed to do stop logs over there.
Understood.
So
So
they'll,
we'll chat with them for a day or 2 type of thing.
If we tell them that it needs to be done, that they would be
Okay,
amenable potentially to doing it.
but they won't let the water go any higher than it is right now, because if it does, it'll impinge on the underside of the bridge.
understood.
So there's a hard limit on how much benefit we get.
Well, if you said it was already down X amount of stop logs, right?
It is, but the flow right now, spring, is high, and so the lake level is over 205 feet. So the water's really high right now,
Yeah.
even though the stop logs are out.
Mhm.
Because, you know, the amount of water going over this spillway is deep.
Awesome.
So if we use systemic herbicides, they would probably be pellets, which would go to sit on the bottom and would be not so affected by the flow to the lake. It may be that, we
But
need.
they just work on that one little spot though.
Well, I mean, so on whatever acres it's put on. I'm thinking we might, given our budget, we might need to decide and again, depending on what we find from the plan survey and the winter drawdown this year. It might be that we decide to do systemic on part of the area that needs to be treated, contract, which is a lot cheaper on another part. And then we've got the western side that's not treated at all. So we have 3 different kinds of treatment that we can see what the result is later this summer and next year.
All depending on how much the money will
And
cost.
if you've driven around in your boat, and you have a GPS that shows reads,
So we did a survey, beginning of month. I'm planning to do another one probably next week. And we did a visual inspection and there were some places where it's coming back. At that time, a lot of it wasn't coming back, at the beginning of the month, but there's more now.
Hmm.
And we'll have a professional survey
I
to
understand.
tell us, where we've got what,
Yeah.
then we'll use that to decide.
What systemic herbicide are you gonna be using?
From Celicor.
Probably.
Yeah.
Cause mostly it's Eurasian milfoil,
Okay.
but that's like, $1,000 an acre.
Hmm.
We've only got $18,000.
Yeah.
We've got,
40 acres.
probably less than 30,
Okay.
because we're only doing our side of the lake. And depending on, whether we're going for the 50%, 75%, 25%,
Yeah.
you have to look.
Yeah, actually, there's areas we decide not to do because nobody swims there.
Yeah, or
Prioritize.
or it's 25%, we're only gonna do 25% in the boat.
Right.
So, yeah, we're limited by how much we've got, how much money we've got, so we'll have to see. But, so I think one of us should, reach out to Nick and Matt and tell them that we're ready to,
Tomorrow.
so we can talk afterward.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and should we, plan to include Spectacle Pond in that?
But certainly part of the discussion, yeah.
we should
Yeah.
at least, get the survey. So that we can hit the ground running,
Yeah,
right?
our management plan and the survey, yeah.
So do you think you need another survey if you had one today? If you're gonna do it?
Well, I'm thinking
If you engage Solitude, they're gonna wanna do their own.
Solitude's gonna do their thing.
No, when I talked to Dominic, he said that TRC would do the surveys.
Oh, good, if he'll take that, that's
Yeah.
fine by me,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fine.
So when's your hope to do Manawanaki? The herbicide?
In
treatment?
June,
In June,
yeah.
great,
Otherwise we can't do it.
right. You wanna do it,
Right.
Yeah, okay, just making sure, yeah.
And
And
I've
then
been out,
Perselicor is the one that DCR was telling us about,
That's the one we were talking about last time.
yeah, okay, and that's what you're hoping to use?
Yeah.
Systemic.
But, at the time, I didn't have the numbers, and it's like 5 times as expensive as, say, Diclot.
We want to use it, but we expect we probably can't use much of it.
Yeah,
We don't have
okay.
money.
So that's why I'm thinking we could do some systemic, some,
well, I can certainly lean on Dominic for, best advice.
we will. Once we get the plan survey, we'll coordinate with him. Yeah.
Rob, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I want to make sure Dave's done with Conscom.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a couple things that I think are worthwhile. During the call, Commissioner Maxfield, Kyle Maxfield, Conscom, specifically noted the DCR call that he attended the second call. He specifically referenced how it turned him around with regard to herbicides, which was,
Who was that?
Kyle Maxfield.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So he specifically mentioned that as a basis for his now being open to herbicides and remarked that it was quite a turnaround that he otherwise wouldn't have been, but he heard very convincing statements made during that DCR call. So that was one thing. Second thing I wanted to point out, because it's got
And, Sarah said the same thing.
yeah, she attended the first one and similarly made reference to the DCR calls and feeling that they had given her applicable knowledge that she felt comfortable with the convincing aspect of the presentation. So benefit, very well. But it was also noteworthy, I think, that they wrestled a bit with you and gave you approval solely for 1 year with regard to the herbicides and DASH. So the amended order of conditions for Forge Pond Manawanakie is for 1 year. And then that tripped into a broader discussion about all the other Littleton lakes and ponds because somebody asked, well, how is this not coming up with the other ones? And reference was asked to Tim Pearson, who said, I think they're using a continual renewal going back to like 2004, 2005.
Mhm.
And the commissioners went out of their way to say, okay, well, Dave, you're unfortunately just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the first person up. And they intend to require new orders of conditions, new considerations, should, as soon as you're existing on the other Littleton lakes and ponds, as soon as those existing orders expire, they intend for you to have to present to them your proposals with regard to use of herbicides in the future. So that's a heads up for
I knew.
coming years. Pardon?
Not necessarily, but more,
Detailed.
more scrutiny
Yeah.
of the, rather than just.
Just not a
stamping.
rubber stamp that it's a
Right.
continuation the way it has been. Basically identifying that there's new, some of them, as mentioned, Maxfield, et cetera, and Sarah Seward, using the new DCR thinking and saying we should now incorporate that thinking that we're now applying here, and it should be applied and there should be consistency with the lake. So I think, wanted to just make you aware of that in terms of anticipating in the future. And much like they're saying to Tim, let us know what the existing orders are for all of Littleton's lakes and ponds. You probably also need to know that to anticipate the responsibility to go before them, as
Yeah.
opposed to just getting a rubber stamp.
They also indicated surprise that the other lakes in town are doing the same thing, even though some of them live on lakes and they know what's happening.
I don't, so I agree with what you said. However, you have more work than you would otherwise anticipate given the dialogue that took place last night. That's what I wanted to do.
And Westford said the same thing. They said, these other lakes use it too? Well, I guess we'll have to talk to them some more next time.
Get out of there. They know they use it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it for years.
Yes, so they used it last week.
Yeah. I know him. He was talking here.
I'm constantly amazed at all of this, but,
We're
so,
just playing games.
that's just something you gotta deal with, I guess, so.
So it's good that we got approval and we can move forward.
Yeah.
They also asked to have a report each year on what the results were, which also, I don't believe any of the lakes have had to do that in the past. But that's, I mean, we do reports on the drawdown, we do reports on agro harvesting, benthic mats. So, we'll do reports. They also approved DASH for us, which they had not specifically done last time, and now they have, although we can't use it this year because David Wong says that we have to get our dredging permit first.
The permits.
But at least, once we have it, it's available to us to use without having to go back again.
Yeah.
It cost $1,000 for us to get these permits from the two commissions, which Friends of Forge Pond paid for.
Well, that's awesome. I really, I think, I feel like they ran you through the mill. But I'm glad it was successful ultimately, and we laid the groundwork for, herbicide treatments this year and return to, eco harvesting next year, if at all possible.
Right.
I was anticipating going to the, community preservation, committee meeting last week, which was canceled.
Right.
They didn't have a quorum and they didn't have a whole lot on their agenda.
They didn't know they had a lot of.
They didn't know they had any items on their agenda. Carolyn apologized, but, I did present to her the idea that we still have, money on the table, with, the removal of the floating islands. Some, I don't know, what is it, $17,000, at Long Lake. And, with the, $50,000 allocated for that, it was only 33. I was saying, in order to do this effectively, if we could demonstrate that, that money can still be applied to things that would eventually create floating islands or potentially create floating islands, wouldn't that money still be available for us to use for other purposes? And she said she'd like to hear more about what we proposed.
So are you, thinking you should check and see if you need to use herbicides this year?
I've been out on the lake and it doesn't look terrible. I've seen evidence of some, invasives, but nothing, substantial and nothing in a cluster. It's all pretty much associated sort of sporadically amongst, lily pads. And lily pads are looking really healthy this year, but beyond that, yes. Well, they're a placekeeper, so it's, there are fewer places for invasives to grab on. But, I'm not sure we'll require much in the way of.
So when we talk to, Solitude, we should focus on Matawanaki and Speckled Pond.
Well, we should
No, you
have
should
a
throw some
survey.
stuff in.
We should definitely have, is it
Keep it
TRC?
that.
Do a survey on Long Lake. I think we should also have them do, Dolphin Pond, because we haven't done anything there, in, 4 or 5 years maybe.
They've surveyed it. It wasn't needed, right?
Oh, no, I don't know that we've had a survey there for years.
It was just watercress last time they,
Water chestnut.
water chestnut, yeah.
And water
It
chestnut
doesn't
is-
take long to survey it.
Yeah, I think they did it. at some point.
10 minutes.
Well, it shouldn't take long.
It takes more time to get the boat in than it takes.
Yeah, well, to get to the water, it's a challenge, but, yeah.
The whole
They-
thing is
they
a
can
month
carry it.
island.
But we have, what's that?
They can carry it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it is a little ways in.
it's hard to access, there's no doubt about it, but I think we have neglected Dolphin for years now.
Is it filled in with water chestnut?
Well, water chestnut has been the only problem there, but it's socked in with all sorts of things, and I don't know if they're all invasives or if, I don't know the state of the pond right now. And it's not like anybody really is on it. It's just part of conservation land or adjacent to conservation land, over off of, Newtown Road, and it's our responsibility. So I think we should take a look at that and see where things stand.
Can we get out on the lake?
On Long Lake? I haven't been on the water yet this year. I've been around it though. It looks pretty good. Yeah.
I've been on, looks good.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no evidence of the floating ponds, the area
Oh.
that was
Yeah, no,
worked
that's-
on looks very, very
That's-
good on the.
How about
Very,
invasives?
very excited about that.
Not for sure.
Well, no, we did a hour around it.
Oh,
just,
okay.
a few days ago. Yeah, I mean, it's high, so they're not, from my untrained eye, like you folks have much better than I do. But it's nowhere near what it
Has been.
has been or what I suspect it may become, but maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe, we haven't talked tonight about the whole season of the winter and that, the ice that was there and and
And snow coverings,
snow, exactly, so.
you know, there are,
Maybe this is, for a first run around the lake, a good indicator that maybe it was helpful.
we had a rather, well, average winter
Right.
for the first time in a long time.
Right, but
If you,
unusual.
if you can say that.
Yeah, different this winter compared to
Legacy
the
winter.
previous two.
Yeah, precisely. No, it's difficult to describe these days, but I think, some of the advantages that, we see at Long Lake at this point is that, it doesn't have a stream running through it. It's mostly seepage that feeds the lake. It takes about 3/4 of a year for it to replenish itself. So we don't have a rapid turnover. We're not linked to, anything that's feeding,
Got an outlet, but no inlet.
invasives or anything, but it's coming from multiple directions.
So if you talk to CPC about repurposing some of the floating island funds, that would be just generically for, preservation of the lake, depending on what comes up.
Right, I think one of the things I think we need to move towards, and Jim Duggan mentioned it last year, was that when you're requesting funds from the CPC, they should be
More
fuzzy.
generically,
They should be far more generic, so that you can actually utilize them for the things you need, rather than something so specific that you're locked in and you go, wow, 3 years up, I can't use this money. We should move towards things where really conceptually, the project is.
so when you go this next time, you would be asking for that
We would be explaining that we have
For
exceptional
your-
circumstances.
for your
right
remaining
now.
funds.
But I would say again, and we've had some overreaching conversation, a couple of years ago when we first started with them about how lakes aren't mentioned in their criteria for projects. That's not on their radar screen. They have projects that they have funded.
Open
They have,
space.
it's open space or it's recreation.
Mhm.
If you can fit in that box or if you can, whatever that, but literally our project is the lake. As Steve has said in the past, we don't have to buy it. We own it. We have it. We possess this. We have to care for it.
Right.
And if they misinterpret care or maintenance or for maintenance, rather than management, then we're at a loss because they can't fund things for maintenance purposes. And we understand that, but the project is,
They can fund preservation.
they can fund preservation. And again, these things are towards all of that, and we have to stumble over our words, so we don't say maintain, because, that's maintenance. But if we can improve things, if we can restore things, and if we can convince people that the ecology is in need of attention, and day in and day out. I mean, this is not, it's not an annual sort of thing where we're just, throwing in the crabgrass killer. This is something we'd like to move beyond. I'd love to be in a position where we're not concerned about herbicide treatments every year or eco-harvesting every year because the invasives are under control. This would be a plus. If we can concern ourselves with drainage issues and storm drain, runoff from erosion and all these other things that we need to attend to. And the muck and what have you, reducing the nutrient load, and, the things that we need to address over time, with lakes that are, at the age they are, that they have mature. They are experiencing eutrophication. This is what I'm gonna approach, them with, and hopefully, as I was saying, with Long Lake, some of the advantages we see there is the slow turnover. We had a very, successful winter with deep ice. I think it was 2 feet deep at one point in time. And snow cover, so it was dark. We also have dark water because of the seepage. It takes on the color of the leaves, so you get less light penetration. We do have a rather shallow lake, averages about 8 feet deep, but still, there aren't great signs of invasives this year. So, some of the things that are occurring naturally are really to our benefit, and I think it's a real plus. So, hopefully we can capitalize on that and maybe escape having to do any treatments at all this year.
Yeah.
See where that goes. But, that said, I'm sorry, yeah.
Leon, so the survey that was done today, will serve for your herbicide assessment?
I hope if you're telling me that Solitude.
But I mean, the timing is fine with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we should have maps within the next week or two, I guess,
Right.
from TRC.
Yeah, it's end of May, that should be good.
Yeah.
That's exciting. To mesh all of this with, the, application for the dredging permit, we have to get in and get, mature samples of plants, invasives, before herbicide treatment. So whenever those things come down as scheduling, I think will trigger our operations, at each lake to get in and get our samples that we need, check for VOCs or whatever else they need to
Yes.
do. And that's a whole other nut, that we'll need to tackle. But ahead of herbicide treatments, we're killing these things off immediately.
Yeah.
So, it shouldn't be that difficult to do. And yet I still have,
So,
I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around exactly how things are gonna proceed.
but
at
the
this point.
Stevens, we have to have the DDR before we can take the
Well-
samples?
We need to have the samples of the plants,
Before
the
the
invasives, before herbicides.
But do we have to, have the meeting with David
No.
Wong before we?
No, I think we should have the meeting. If in fact we have a DDR that's ready to go in say, let's say a week, maybe 2 weeks, and we can schedule a time where we can have a phone conference with David Wong, then, he can review our data. Say you need something here, you don't have something there, what about, whatever the questions are, whatever. This shapes up and we can proceed with the application. Then we can go about our sampling process, and the sampling process, I would imagine it's gonna be quite expensive, it's gonna be intense, and I'm hoping for help from the water department, in terms of, exactly how we handle, collecting samples, sediment samples, as well as the plant samples. We
I'm
shouldn't be-
nervous that we're gonna run out of time very quickly, given that it's May 29th.
Yeah, no,
And if you guys need
it's all
to
gonna
be
happen.
doing herbicide before
It's
end of-
all
Yeah.
happening before the end of June.
Yeah.
So whatever we do in terms of setting up with herbicide treatments will trigger the time we need. Now, of course, we can take samples, we can take sediment samples in August at this point, but we'd like to get that application going because it's gonna take them 4 or 5 months
Yep.
to reconcile things.
Right,
And
if you have to
give us the thumbs up or thumbs
prioritize
down.
though, doing herbicide in June and getting samples.
Samples are no problem.
Well, I'm just saying,
Whatever-
the
whatever the
timing, do
herbicide
you
treatment-
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the timing is such that it's like, we need 3 days to do samples, but if we want to hit end of June, we have to do herbicide today. Are we gonna
Oh,
sacrifice the
we'll have a
samples?
date, we'll have a date when the herbicide treatments are gonna be done.
I understand that, it's just a
For
tight
both,
window,
yeah,
so.
Major pond.
It's just prioritizing, I think, if herbicide's gonna,
In a slightly more perfect world, we wouldn't do any herbicide treatments until we got this DDR.
Yeah.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Right, but as I said,
Sampling,
the only thing we
sediment.
need are the plant samples.
Yeah.
Prior to herbicide treatment.
Yeah.
And, right, you guys came in with pails full of stuff last fall.
So is there a protocol that has to be followed for?
Yeah,
chain of-
absolutely no
chain of
idea.
handling?
So this is where we
Probably,
need to talk to
I
David
mean,
Wong
for the-
or the water department, because, they're well versed in all of that.
For the water sampling we do, there's definitely a chain of handling that has to be documented.
Certainly,
Probably this includes that too.
this is gonna be part of the learning curve, and it's gonna go.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is there a document that says how exactly has to be done that we could read in advance?
I don't have one in my possession. I'm
We can
dependent
ask
on,
Lisa when she comes on.
I don't know if you'll have.
Oh, it's almost 8.
So, yeah, baby.
Well, we
But,
adjourned it.
so, no, I don't know what the protocol is, but I'm sure there is some standard, that the water department understands. And like I said, we can go about doing that. We have to access, outfall. And there are like a dozen around Long Lake, so we need to, you know, whack our way through along the shoreline and find the outfall and find, the appropriate sediment.
Right.
And then we can't contaminate whatever that is, so.
I was just thinking that we could plan ahead and be ready for that if we knew what that's the date, that's all, just having the document ahead of time.
Oh, sure, yeah, if in fact there's a publication,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to share it with you.
seems like somebody must have written down whatever the protocol is.
Yeah,
Does Tim know? I mean, he was. the
I'm
one-
sure he does.
Maybe Tim can get that from David Wong. Although he's not our liaison anymore.
Right, and he's a little busy. So, well, that's fine, it's, let me see what I can find out. And I'm sure anybody at the water department, you know, like Josh or somebody, Josh Walsh, could say, yeah, well, that's, you know, that's second nature. You know, it's like, that's second nature to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knows a lot more about it than I would, but it might be that the particular permit we're seeking has particular requirements that.
Perhaps, yeah, but I don't know, I've never seen the application, per se.
I think either Tim's been handling it.
Yeah, but, yeah, that's, we'll look into that.
So that does seem, it just seems risky to me that we'll be able to get that done in June. is
It's tight.
my-
Well-
Yeah,
Number one, we have
Yeah.
to wait for mature plants.
Right.
So it's a collision course,
yeah,
you know, you got a deadline.
Yeah.
Where the funding stops. And so you want to come as close to that as possible with the herbicide treatments.
right,
And then just ahead of that.
right, right.
We'll-
The backup
we'll be digging up
plan
plants.
is we do it in August. We do sampling in August or something.
Well, there won't be any plants.
Yeah, we'll have killed all the plants, yeah,
So,
No way.
and that's really all I'm concerned about is the plants.
maybe.
Because we can take sediment samples anytime.
Yeah.
You know, we can take that, you know, end of June, beginning of July, whatever, and, you know.
Well, let's find out what's involved and then we can all get out there and do it.
The sooner, well, yeah, again, I'm not sure that everyone can participate.
Right,
But willing bodies would like to have participate.
all right, well, let's find out what
But
we
again,
need to do.
it
Yeah.
comes into who's authorized to take the sample.
Right,
I have no idea. I really do not know. And, so I'll be in touch with the water department to start with, in that regard, and we'll share that information as it, becomes available. So,
So what's our next topic?
yeah, each pond's gonna be a little different. But again, the sampling should proceed. I think we get our application in by July. August, September, November, December. Maybe by the end of the year, we'll know if we get a permit for next year.
Mhm.
So, I don't see why we wouldn't have one. I don't see why it won't be granted. But then again, we'll control those things. Let's jump ahead. We pretty much covered the management plan.
Yeah, we're good for a sec.
Okay, and.
Who is it that's doing it? TRC?
TRC, yeah.
Okay,
And it's likely they're doing the surveys as well.
they did.
Well, they did at Spec Farm.
Oh, yes.
How about Aquan? Who's gonna survey that before we do that?
So, Sullivan would set it up, but they're planning to use TRC. So that would be part of the contract.
And when do they feel that that's gonna happen? Now that we know we have the money? Or they're okay, they're gonna come right out?
So, that has to be organized by the water department now. So John and I are gonna get in touch with them tomorrow and get the process moving.
So if they pay the bills, they're the ones that say, go do the work.
Well, we have to have a contract, and they're the ones that sign the
Right, yeah.
contract.
And they might have to, I mean, Dominic was expecting, it to be bid. If it's bid, then that, I don't know if it has to or not. I mean, that can be kind of a longer time frame, right?
A lot longer.
Yeah, that can be a problem. So, I don't know that it needs to be bid. But,
Well, we'll see where we stand
right,
and take advantage of what we can do. Any opportunity we have to do, any kind of, mitigation of invasives, it's gonna be a plus this year. We're kind of hamstrung, but we're pursuing the permit, for dredging, and I think we still all are in agreement that that's the way to proceed. So we'll take that on. While we're waiting, until 8, when, Lisa would join us, we have a situation with.
I have some items too, so
I'm sorry.
we have another one on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just running down the list here.
Yeah.
We'll pop around if we need to, but, there are, outstanding, there's a fund, there's a bank account, for the Mill Pond Association. That has, the Mill Pond Association has pretty much disbanded. But it is a fund at a bank, locally here, and they keep sending, statements to Bartlett Harvey, who lives at Steve Sussman's old house. Steve Sussman used to be the head of the Mill Pond Association. Bartlett has, in fact, paid some money to keep this still active, I understand, from time to time, just to keep the account alive. I don't know how much he's put into it, but, I thought I had talked to, Mitt Wanzer about taking, control of that account. Bartlett would like this committee to take the account on.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure we do that, but, well,
So, I mean, is there no, Mill Pond Association anymore to,
there's no active Mill Pond Association. I don't know. I was hoping Mitt would be here tonight so he could help us out on this, but, he has always been a member, of the association, and how it is that they have attended to these funds, I don't understand.
How much
How much money?
I don't have a clue.
About $700.
700?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it seems appropriate for, it to be donated to the Clean Lakes Committee.
if in fact they want to do that.
I'm just saying, it would be appropriate if, yeah,
But
but you would need to have
I had,
some semblance of an organization in order to make that decision.
I had the impression that they wanted us to hold it until maybe the association is reestablished or something at some future point. So we're a kind of a holding institution.
But if we're not, we can't be responsible for
Well,
money for
We're
your company.
not, you know,
Well, I'm really saying,
unless somebody tells me different.
it's not really our responsibility.
Yes,
But-
that's
but I
the
think,
problem.
I think Bartlett is looking at the CLC as, you know, the source, and really we have representatives from every lake and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I've chatted with Bartlett several times.
Yeah.
Under what authority does he, have control of the current funds?
He just lives at Steve Sussman's house.
So,
No authority. I think
Same
Mitt Wanzer, I think
The
it's
statements come to that house,
So he's-
and
Oh, the statements go to Steve's, hold on, yeah.
Steve,
Yeah,
and
Mitt
probably
Wanzer.
still address the Steve.
I think Mitt, as the Mill Pond,
Yeah.
he should make that
He's a
decision.
Mill Pond alternate right now.
I guess, and he's distributing funds, so.
We haven't seen Luigi in what, a year and a half, maybe
Yeah,
2
yeah.
years? So,
4 years.
I
I saw him at one or two meetings.
But,
I think it's a Mitt
Yeah,
Wanzer decision and that's
Right.
beyond, yeah.
but as I understand it, and I could be wrong, attempts have been made and Bartlett approached me and I've now followed up with him because he approached me almost 2 months ago now. He's looking for relief from Clean Lakes. He wants it resolved. He'd like to do, he's been doing what he thinks is the right thing of not letting the fund become abandoned
Mhm.
and lose the money that's in the fund. But he also approached me and I said, I'm not a member, but I'll pass it along. And he's really looking for you guys, the group. You might have these legitimate concerns, but you are the group that brings together all the associations. Some of you represent your different associations as members here. He's looking for, just get it out of my mailbox and take it over.
So-
And, but do it.
I would say, if we have issues with Clean Lakes Committee actually taking it over, I suggest that somebody like Mitt could
Yeah.
take on the responsibility of the Mill
Holding.
Pond Association and, take over the account for the Mill Pond
That
Association.
is my
Yeah.
recommendation as
No,
well.
that's
We,
where I'm coming
it's not any of us, it
No,
would be Mitt.
no.
I mean, Long Lake Neighborhood Association, we have a bank account, it has a treasurer, it has officers. That's separate from Clean Lakes, same with you all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
We got no money.
Can you get in touch with Mitt and ask him to get in touch with Bartlett? I'm sure they know each other.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
He knows where to find them.
They know each other.
Yeah,
They're on committees together.
I'll contact Mitt, but I think I'll contact Bartlett too. And if I have to initiate something, I mean, I don't know if Mitt was reluctant to follow through with this, but he's the only contact with the Mill Pond Association
Right.
that we know of.
Is Steve Sussman still alive?
No, he passed away.
So is the bank accounts in his name? I mean, that's probably gonna be
Well,
a.
he was the president of the association, so he was having the statements mailed to his house.
Yeah,
And,
It's gotta be someone's.
I would
name on
imagine
it,
he's got his name on the account, probably, because
Because,
you jump through hoops and you go, well, it's, it's
It's
a
the party
league
of record.
association, it's not
Change
really,
the party of
maybe it
record.
wasn't
You
even
would have
incorporated
time.
at the time, so, it's not like they have a corporate account or an association account or anything like that. But, yeah, it's just, it's nothing this committee can handle.
all right, so we're
We
gonna,
don't have any resources, we don't have any banks, so.
so we're gonna get a hold of Mitt, Mitt's gonna try to take it over next.
Thank you.
So I have, 4 other things that I would suggest we discuss.
Certainly.
Let me just mention them first. Water sampling, for the summer.
Yes.
Should be starting now. There's an update on the Stony Brook Floor Restoration Project. We need to update our 5-year plan, to include the lake management plans that we want to be funding next year. And, there's a little bit of an update on the liaison. So briefly on the liaison, there's a couple dozen applicants. They have finished the, interview process for those, so they're in the process of deciding among them.
And new last week was that the, assistant, agent, conservation agent will in fact be our liaison.
Starting in the fall.
Which is a new development.
Starting in the, well, yeah, starting in the
I
fall.
mean, it came and went. Last time I talked to Tim about it, he's like, nah, there is no connection, and that was a couple of months ago.
Right, so Karen told us that that was gonna be the
So I'm
case.
saying,
Yeah.
new development.
Yeah. And so for the 5-year plan, we had talked about some of us getting together to look at that, to just make some suggestions to the larger group. So that would be good to schedule.
We could do that as soon as this weekend if there was interest, but,
Yeah. Or I'm free during the week,
this is good,
you know. Stony Brook-
Saturday's raining.
even better. So, yeah, Saturday, yeah, we won't be on the water.
Stony Brook Floor Restoration Project, last year they didn't do anything. This year they did apply for a grant and got a grant. Geosyntec is working on it.
Okay.
The 2 things that I know of, for that are, that, because the new owners of Abbottville, are not, well, even before it changed hands last year, the previous owner had decided that they were not going to let the Stony Brook people, the project, be changing the stop logs to let water out. And partly as a result of that, and the fact that now Acker is also saying the same thing, they're looking at automating that process.
What?
Just like we do at Spectral Pond, that's automated.
Control into automated, yeah.
It's like a remotely operable valve.
Right.
Wow.
Instead of Steve going with this for wrench.
How does that solve for the issue with the bridge that they're objecting to?
Independent,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
nothing to do with it, yeah. But it could possibly tie into, we're in the process of, getting, quotes from Geosyntec for the engineering study for, the drawdown improvements. We're asking them to do some flow modeling for some projected, suggested changes to the, outlet structures near the dam. They have said that tomorrow they're giving us their first assessment on the cost for doing that. I met with them a couple weeks ago to go over the statement of work. But if Stony Brook is going to modify the stop log structure to, be automating the process of opening it, there's probably some synergy there in terms of what we're looking to do and what they're potentially doing. The other thing about Stony Brook Flow Project is the monitoring stations. We've had problems with the station at Steve's house for Lake Manawanaki. The last couple of months, hasn't been transmitting data consistently. We've been working with In Situ to get it working. And we've done some diagnostics. Steve and I have done some diagnostics with the tech support team, and we've decided that the module needs to be fixed. So I'm working.
Replaced, or is it something?
It's not clear.
Got an electronic failure of some kind. Can't tell.
So we have to send it back. They'll evaluate it and they'll tell us whether it can be fixed or it needs to be replaced. I'm working with Nick and Matt to get a PO to get it sent back to have it evaluated. That's one thing. Another thing with the monitoring is that as part of this current Stony Brook grant, they are looking to put another monitoring station downstream of the Beaverbrook Bridge to monitor the lake level there.
Monitor the level of Beaver Brook over the wetland.
No, downstream of the bridge, monitoring the lake.
Oh,
So a second place to be monitoring the lake. And the advantage of that is that I talked to Josh Walsh about this week. He didn't know whether they were going to be doing flow correlations there, but there's no reason that it would make sense that they would if they haven't. So I assume that's part of the reason for them to be placing it there, because then they could get inflow data for Beaverbrook.
yeah.
Which would be interesting, is because we've got outflow data through Stony Brook, and 2/3 of our flow comes in through Beaverbrook. So that could be interesting to help us understand more about the drawdowns.
So they would do that right at the bridge. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right at the abutments. Yeah. So they already have the module. They're working to get it installed. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Still alive.
Yeah. And then, we should work with, Nick and Matt to, get the, water sampling going for the summer. Last year, we only did it twice.
Mhm.
So we should be doing one next week. Really, but they haven't got it structured yet. So our liaison will probably want to get on top of that. To
So if it needs to start next week, who makes that happen?
our liaison,
Nick?
yeah. So,
John, will you follow up with Nick and say we need to be water
That'll
sampling?
be part of our conversation tomorrow.
Great,
yeah,
okay. That's
Yeah.
fair.
yeah. So, yeah, that's what I had.
That's cool.
It says that there are 3 participants. Does it? Is Lisa here? Lisa, are you here? See where it says participants?
Yeah.
Who's there?
Is it the 3 cameras?
Karen Morrison.
Oh,
is there.
Karen's here,
Hi, Karen.
but Lisa's not here. Is
We've
it
told
after
it-
8?
We're told it not to show people who don't turn on their video, so Karen hasn't shown, although she's apparently listening in.
There, I think I'm unmuted now.
There you go. Hi, Karen.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. We've got your name tag up here on the table.
Sorry, I couldn't make it in person.
Quite all right. We appreciate you, monitoring things. Good. We're anticipating, Lisa Winter chiming in anytime, with, the due diligence report for our, application for dredging. So.
Great.
Be exciting to see that.
Did she confirm that she was gonna be here?
That's what she's told me. I just emailed her again to say, email if you can't seem to log on or log in. So we'll see, but, yeah. Be along.
On the other business front, I think Karen had given us a partial update last week, although it wasn't an official meeting, maybe, or maybe Rob, you did, about the Parks and Rec. I don't know that everyone heard that.
Yeah, so I could
Oh,
address
yeah.
that. Go ahead, Kimberly.
So, yeah, Parks and Rec, I found out by their newsletter, but they have included a charge on their beach fees this year. And they've got a nice explanation about what it's for and that it's to help fight invasives and take care of the lake. So yeah, they've put it into effect. I can't remember, Rob, is it 10% or $10?
So they didn't, so it's a little bit, I'm a little bit confused, but I can tell you that you're correct. On their website and posted at the Snack Shack is reference to 10% of each of the fees. And like you said, very nice explanation. And yet, 2 months ago when I attended their meeting, as did Mark Rombacher, it was $1 per membership, so a family membership would be $5. And quite frankly, the resident fee is $90. So apparently, discussion I had with Tim Mikulski, the software couldn't accommodate the $1 per aspect. It was easier,
I love it.
and he seemingly made the decision to switch it to 10%. I don't know whether the commissioners are aware of that and embrace that. It's possible that they did. There's no video of their last meeting, and their minutes haven't been posted yet for the most recent meeting, so I don't know. But it is, as you said, 10%, nice write-up. Could, in all likelihood, the 10% could be, a substantially more, amount of money for
Right.
than the $1 per. So that's good news.
So you said it's posted at the Snack Shack. Does that mean that if you buy a Snickers bar, you're providing 10%?
No, strictly the fees. Strictly the fees, but they have a listing of all the different membership fees for your seniors and singles and non-residents, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then it specifically has a separate page that deals with the 10% aspect.
So not like canteen, not for sailing?
No, strictly.
No.
What they call beach operations, which is.
Beach pass.
From all canteen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Karen, Alicia was at the, select board, to say that they'd also be accepting donations.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Which is wonderful.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of PR there.
I think my thought there was that, I don't know, maybe I'm too cynical. I wasn't sure that there would be a whole lot of donations in and of itself, but I thought that if nothing else, it's going to be really helpful to raise awareness of the need.
Without a doubt, I think that's timely.
Well, which publication did they highlight this in?
So I'm on their newsletters that they kick out every week, and when I saw that the Long Lake Beach was opening up for memberships could, be done, I then read that with interest, and there it was, nicely written
So
and very prominently written.
the newsletter,
Yeah.
link from their website?
I can read it to you. I found it. New this year, the Long Pond Sustainability Fund. Beginning in 2025, all memberships will have 10% added on at checkout to fund the Long Pond Sustainability Fund. It actually is a pond. It's not a lake.
It's long.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
This fee is dedicated to preserving the long-term health and recreational value of Long Pond. The fund supports essential lake management services, including water quality monitoring, invasive species control, shoreline and habitat preservation, and it goes on. And then
That's great.
the rates, yep.
Very good.
So it's 10% on top of like a $90 residence house.
LL, There's a song that goes along with it.
So John, I have a couple other
Certainly.
items.
Yes, you do.
So one, is that, as many of you know, DPW is underway. Karen certainly knows Iron Bond was approved for a $98,000 engineering study of the wetland basin that's otherwise known as Frog Pond. And that was done in the winter. I followed up a couple times with DPW Director Yonley, who said, yep, that's underway, been done. There's dredging work, and Steve in early May said he had something to do in May and was looking for dredging activity, which he has to go to Conscom to get permitting, that sort of thing. I mentioned that as background by way of, I'd encourage Clean Lakes to take a position of following up and jump on the momentum that Director Yonley has done and Select Board has authorized with regard to the engineering study, because it's a pretty significant event, not having dredged that in many, many, many years, and speaks to the, once that's back up and running and get into a maintenance plan to keep it more operational than it's been, that can help Long Lake. And so it seems appropriate to me for Clean Lake. So I throw that out to you, whether you take action on assigning somebody to follow up with Director Yonley and encouraging that development or not. That's your call. The second item, I know, John, I wrote to you and Dave just a few days ago. That kind of
Before we,
yep,
so
go ahead,
do we
sorry.
want to act on that? Do we want to have somebody, sort of be a liaison between us and the DPW for the Frog Pond restoration? I mean, they're dredging, they're replacing the walkway.
Yeah, so the walkway and the invasive work in Frog Pond, that's done by Andrew Smarko, champion through Conscom, got the CPC funds as part of the other funds that Clean Lakes was also in that laundry list with regard to the,
CPC.
CPC and Forest Pond, et cetera. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening there. So however you want to go about it, I was identifying more the dredging aspect with regard to the specific relationship to the lake.
Dredging of the Frog Pond.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what's being done, this season.
Yeah, and Karen's familiar. There was a tie and bond contract, for my recollection, it was $98,000 and change that was approved midwinter. And to the best of my knowledge, from discussion with DPW Yonley, that work has been undertaken, and he had some work to do, but all in anticipation of getting on with the dredging in the summer, and Andrew Samarco, who championed the other things you were mentioning, the walkway and so forth, he updated Conscom the other night stating that his discussion, his understanding is that he would hope that the walkway and that sort of thing can be done in the fall. But again, I think the focus for Clean Lakes, the relationship is with the dredging activity, that would then assist cleaning out and getting crud not to just float right into the lake.
Something should be done every year or two to be.
But yeah, and I did follow up with him months ago stating, will part of that tie and bond contract come with results and recommendations with regard to once they do the different monitoring spots. There's like 3 locations within the wetland basin that are probably long lost their service abilities. They're to be brought up to speed, and then there should be a maintenance. And Steve said, yes, there will be a maintenance plan proposed as to what should be done. And obviously, I think Clean Lake should be following up on that as well.
You haven't seen results on any of the.
I've never seen, no, yeah. So I'm saying.
So they haven't made it public if it is done.
No, and that's where I think transparency and light, that I think would be appropriate for Clean Lake, should you care to do it, to
Add that to John's list, call Yonley,
Sure.
find out what's going on. Because that was originally our world, right?
Maybe somebody else from the Long Lake delegation would like to, take
I'm
on.
happy to if you want me to, but, you've got your list.
John's position as chairman allows him to delegate, so
That is true.
Yeah, there you go.
Tammy's position on the committee allows her to volunteer. Yeah.
I'm happy to if you'd like me to, John.
Sure, you wanna do that?
Sure.
Find out what the status on the, engineering study is and say we encourage
Keep nipping.
all of that.
So then in that same, the second one has to do, and I think I've had to change your heart, so I'll give context. There's, I think through the DCR calls and also some other calls I participated with an organization called SISMA and AIM. DCR, John Flannery, is pretty consistent in stating that from his perspective, the best bang for buck with regard to dollars to protecting our lakes and ponds is establishing water stations, and encouraging, in addition to the stop aquatic hitchhiker signage that should be posted at all our lakes, to actually have people, if you can get volunteers, or make water stations available.
I mean, wash station.
And encourage the boats that if the boats are moving from one water, area to another, to water them down. You don't need it to be, you can get for $5,000, I've heard, a hot water station, but that's more over on the western side with regard to some microscopic organisms that can be really problematic. That's not what John's really saying is needed for our Littleton lakes and ponds. But where this comes up is that on June 10th, there's going to be a public hearing for Conscom in which Parks and Recs, a matter that I've been pursuing independently for over a year, they have their docks, their sailing dock, 42 feet of it for 10 months out of the year, stored in area that is basically within the 50-foot buffer zone of Long Lake and a vegetated wetland. From my perspective, a vegetated wetland, a very specific term, right by the boat ramp gravel access area. They're on the verge with CPC funds of purchasing 2 additional docks to add now another 84 feet, seemingly, of docks that are similarly being stored. And my point has been for over a year, you shouldn't have the docks stored where you have them stored. That's a problem. And now you're about to have, triple.
The problem, right?
Correct.
And why though? Why can't they have it there? Why do you say they can't have it there?
Because the Wetland Protection Act that the Conscom really, that's primarily what they do, is enforce the Wetland Protection Act. Says you can't have a impervious surface within 50 feet of a buffer zone. So many of us, I can speak personally, I know Dave can speak personally to some aspects of Conscom and how vigilant they are, and rightfully so, that we have a bylaw with regard to not putting things there. And I'm personally, on record in written form to Conscom and to Park and Rec commissioners with regard to, residents are permitted to have things like this, located right next to wetlands. And, why is Park and Rec being allowed to do it and now compounding it? It's my concern. So there's a public hearing. I initially approached in an email to John and Dave saying maybe Clean Lake should weigh in, because I think the future, don't be surprised when I'm back here in a month or two with regard to encouraging you folks to get in a proposal for a water station. I could see this as having a CPC application with regard to making water availability and trying to get people to.
Isn't there water availability at the end with the spigot, right? Off that back of that thing, right?
Off of the back of the snack shack, but it's strictly got like about a 5-foot hose possibly. So the water source is there.
Because I put that one.
Good for you. And that's the sort of,
Oh,
that's the sort of thing that I think there's a real opportunity. Again, I feel like DCR's involvement through the 2 calls has changed some people's thinking. Herbicides being one aspect of the change, but I think this water station aspect, I don't know that I've heard discussion of it here. And with Tom Flannery being one of the 4 DCR personnel in the state, saying for his perspective, the biggest bang for the buck with protecting our waterways is encouraging this, water down your watercraft before and after, then putting in a water station, to me, is a worthwhile endeavor. I'm not ready to say that I know enough about it to propose how we go about, or you'd go about CPC to try to get the money to, arrange for the hookup and, whether Park and Rec wants to allow their water to be, I can see where they say we don't want to, but then you need to create a different water source, and water is already there. But I think it's a coming attraction, so that's where I intend on the June 10th public hearing to make it known with regard to, we should have a forward-looking vision with regard to space is extremely limited. Doesn't seem like it should be there in the first place, although Conscom can rule that it's in the public interest to let them keep it there. But it's up to you folks whether you weigh in. I was going to heavily encourage you to do it, but at this point, you may not want to, because quite frankly, I can be somewhat of a person with this interest as expressed. You folks are now in a unique relationship with them, trying to obtain funds. They come through with you with the 10% reference. You need to work together. I could see where I may not be appreciated by Park and Rec with regard to saying, stop what you've been doing forever, because it's a problem, and they can, be unhappy with me, whereas I wouldn't really want them to be unhappy with you. Having said that, you guys have to decide how you feel about the matter, et cetera.
So would you be suggesting that when the docks come out at the end of the season, they get taken off site and stored someplace else?
Yeah, that to me is, find another spot other than where it's convenient for you, and I feel badly, but.
And that's the reason they're where they are.
It's convenient, yes, I
They
suspect.
couldn't get them up in the parking lot or.
Well, then Amy, anybody that uses that area, I would argue that the shoulder seasons with regard to Long Lake specifically, they're almost as busy, if not busier, than what the summer months are, because the weather has been so hot, et cetera, that I think we find many people, using them in the September, October, seasons, as well as you go out there, last week on the sunny days. It's
Yeah.
busy. The boat ramp was filled over the weekend.
They can store them at their new site.
He's being facetious.
Oh.
He's being 36 King Street. He's being facetious.
No, they're not.
All right,
Oh, you're not?
No, it's
One
from the
thing.
parking lot in the back.
Okay.
listen, one thing. I've been on the lake all my life, 62 years, okay? We've had a boat in the water all my life, had a boat, all my life. We put it in on Memorial Day, we take it out September, October, okay? If we had a hose there to rinse that thing, it's doing nothing, nothing. You need on, off to take the shit off, on, off. It's acid. Acid has to take the stuff off, period. I don't care what you said. I've been there
So,
my whole life.
yes. So I think the two things that are being suggested here is to clear off either invasive plants that are stuck.
All right, I can see a thing hanging,
For debris.
right,
Well,
that's no problem at all.
Or for with the hot water wash,
Yeah,
there's a microscopic, organism that
I'll
can
go to a
get
muscle or
transferred.
something.
Zebra mussel, I
But-
think, might be.
Yeah.
That's not here, though.
But
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah,
as I
that's not-
understand it, we don't have the kind of, lake environment that would allow that to be sustainable.
Correct.
So that's not an issue.
not needed.
So really, you're talking about removing the invasive plant.
Yeah.
All right, so invasive plants, I've seen sometimes, I've gone up and what do you call it, hanging there, I go in and take it off, and everybody usually takes it off their boat, okay? But listen, all right, you've got a dock that's floating, I know what you have down there. Millions of people have them on our lake, right? You have a dock floating. You take them up, pile them up over there on the shore, right? You're not, it's still pervious. It flows off the top of it into the ground. What's wrong with that? It's not like we've just paved the whole thing.
I'm not gonna present myself as being a CONSCOM commissioner to you. I'm saying there's going to be a public hearing that you folks, and it
I'm
appears
just saying,
you don't,
I see,
that's why I'm raising it up before you, for you to consider it. And I've also said that I know what I'm going to state, whether you folks, I thought you should be aware that there's about to be a public hearing on a matter that involves, something that goes right into the boat ramp in the Long Lake, and something that DCR is coming. How you choose to take action or not, that's your call.
For Forge Pond, my discussion with Bob Hartzell about washing boats.
He's, certified lake.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, and I don't know about the other lakes, but for Forge Pond, washing boats won't make any difference because Forge Pond already has all of the invasives that are prevalent in this region of the country. And when you think about, they propagate by fragmentation. When you think about the amount of fragmentation that occurs as the power boats move around the lake, whatever comes in on somebody's boat trailer is just a minute fraction of that amount of fragmentation. That we could go to a lot of trouble and we'd have to clear space and make it so that the water that washes the boat doesn't run into the lake. We have to grade it, create drains. That isn't going to change anything. In Forge Pond, now maybe in the others, that could be important. So I don't know what this fellow you mentioned, I don't remember his name. I don't know what.
Oh, Flannery.
Yeah, Flannery. I don't know what he would say about Forge Pond, but that was what Bob Hartzell said. He said, spend your money on something else.
Interesting, yeah. But Flannery and DCR are firm believers in washing.
Well, I don't doubt that there are lots of circumstances where that would make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
It just looks like.
If we had no invasives, I'd want to wash.
Yeah.
yeah,
When is the hearing?
June 10th, and you've given it time, you know the issue. I appreciate you hearing me out.
Can we,
adjourn.
check on?
I heard from Lisa,
Oh, good.
and, she is stuck in traffic
Okay.
and finding it difficult to log in, I guess, by a phone or something. So I think we're gonna adjourn.
Or 8:30.
Yeah, I should, yeah.
So,
Next meeting, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you guys are probably gonna need to connect with her.
I just asked if we could get together over the next couple of days somewhere.
Yeah.
The moment I hear, we just gotta get a handle on this data.
Right,
and run.
Right.
And, so we'll
Right.
plan to do just that, and the moment I hear back and can coordinate something, maybe Saturday, if that's a possibility, well, like I said, I'll say what response I get from Lisa, and we'll proceed from there. Don't keep you guys any longer.
so we gotta set a new date for the next meeting?
Let's do just that. I was saying to Leon earlier in the evening that, we probably want to get together in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks is the 12th. The Friends of Fort Pond annual general meeting is that night.
we've been normally meeting on
Yeah.
Tuesday, how about 10th?
And, June. Is a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. We've normally been meeting on Tuesdays.
The 10th is the night of this,
Conscom.
Conscom. And can we do that Thursday?
No.
This
that's
is the Westford.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
Friends of
the,
Fort Pond
I
meeting.
misunderstood. Yeah.
But I think you're okay with us having a meeting on that Tuesday.
I am.
Boy, that's the 17th of Tuesday.
Let's do the 10th, and then we can coordinate, a little better. We'll target the 10th. And then we'll see, how things come together in terms of the forum, and how, we get a reading from Nick and Matt.
Well, we should be underway. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the biggest question is whether we need to have a bidding or not. If we need to have a bidding, we might have to have it contracted and paid for
Then let him do it.
Before, yeah.
before,
Right, something
and then, it might get done shortly after.
Well, yeah. No, it's, the biggest problem with herbicide treatments is they wanna hit early before the plants mature. We need mature plants, for, our, lab tests and a test for VOCs. So we're kind of working across purposes here this year. You don't wanna drop herbicides on fully mature plants if you can avoid it. Hit them early and kill them off. But, that can't happen.
So depending on where we need to take samples in Forge Pond, we're not going to be doing herbicides everywhere. For instance, we're not going to be doing any herbicides in the western part of the lake.
So you have the advantage of maybe going across the lake and grabbing some samples. I hadn't thought about that as an option, but why not?
Yeah.
And actually, any of these treatments are not gonna kill everything off. So
No.
there'll be mature plants floating around someplace.
Yeah, they're still gonna be there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a nice problem? The lake is
Yeah.
pristine.
Yeah, that'd be a bummer.
Well, where Beaver Brook comes in, there's not much land of Littleton's on down that end.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of growth down there.
Right.
So we could take anything from there at any
Yeah.
time.
It depends on what the rules say though, like if you need to indicate on the map where you got that from and you need to have it from, you know.
There was some mention of like if there's a large outcropping, they want plants from there.
Outcropping or outfall?
What's that?
Outcropping or outfall?
Both.
Oh,
The outfall is not for plants. The outfall is for sediment.
oh, okay.
It contains,
You may or may not have invasive plants at your outfall, but you'll have
Like where the
sediment.
beaches are, where it comes in and beach
Yeah,
water.
I think we've only got a couple places where we have, most of the catch basins are leaching catch basins. They don't go into the lake.
Wow, no kidding, really?
Yeah,
there's a pipe this big one in the lake by beach too.
And beach ones.
right. So as I say, I think those might be the only two I'm aware of on the Littleton side.
Can you make it on the 10th, Chuck?
Yeah.
I've got family visiting that day.
Oh, do you?
I'd rather not.
That might
Spending
be,
3
You know
hours
what,
at a meeting.
you know what, we welcome all
Yeah,
Look at all of the,
Yeah, we're up to
Yeah,
Bob then.
this might be our new spread here, I don't know.
we'll bring some dirt and shit.
yeah.
Would Wednesday be better? Wednesday we have a conflict,
Every Wednesday.
every Wednesday.
Yeah, but family.
Wait, actually, I don't. We're changing it to Monday.
No kidding.
Wednesday would be
That-
better for
that's
me
the
that
thing.
week.
For
All right.
10 years, I've had a conflict on Wednesday night, and it's changing to Monday night.
Let's nail it. You wanna make it the 11th? Is that Wednesday?
Yeah, that would be better for me. That's great.
Well, I
Well, not
might never make it,
Wednesday.
because now I don't have golf on my.
I'm sorry?
I have golf.
What? Don't make trouble.
John, do we know, will it be here?
I imagine it will be here. I don't have any reason to suspect otherwise.
He will probably let us know.
We will, we'll
Yeah.
keep you informed. I was a little concerned, after trying to reassign things last week. I hadn't heard. And I was like, long weekend, come on, we gotta come through with this. So, no, Andrew came through, with the information on Tuesday, so we're cool. This is great. I would accept the, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn,
Second that.
all in favor?
Thanks, Chuck.
Anyone objecting? It's silent. Thank you all.